Welcome to Malcolm Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcolm and Rochelle Reed.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I'm your host, Malcolm Reed, joined by my lovely and talented wife. It's summertime, 4th of July. Shell, how are you?
Doing good.
We got Tyler back with us.
Yeah.
Back from paternity leave. Is that what you call it, Tyler?
Did you say prison?
Prison. He's on parole. No. Are you glad to be back in office after a couple of weeks with the newborn, or is it hard to leave?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, but yeah, I'm happy to be here. Like the second week, I was like on edge a little bit, but I could still be a little helpful. But then by the end of that second week, I was ready to. I definitely couldn't never not have a job.
What day was it? You came into here early. Was it Monday? He's like, I've never seen Tyler here that early. I was like, oh yeah, he must be ready to go back to work.
Yep.
I know what that is. 2 weeks of no sleep will do that. You're like, I got to go to the office.
I'm trying to figure out how to get a couch in my office.
Yeah.
I haven't figured the logistics out yet. But
You could use mine. I'll
come in here.
keep the lights off. Tyler's in there taking a nap.
This weekend is 4th of July weekend.
It is. Big barbecue weekend. You think everybody's firing the grills up?
I would say so.
You really don't even have to put any coals on them here in Mississippi right now. I mean, it is so freaking hot outside.
Yeah. Is it going to be this hot all weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's topping 100.
Yeah. What'd you tell me the heat index
Yesterday?
was
112.
112.
That was about what time? 3 o'clock. We were coming back.
Yeah.
Smokehouse, and I was like, I just happened to look because we were sitting at a red light there, and it was like, it's so hot. It's like the AC don't even want to cool things down. It's like, man, what temperature is it? The car says just 100, and I looked on the weather app, and it was like 101, heat index of 112 to 114. I was like, man, that's freaking hot.
It's the kind of hot when you go outside, you get mad. Like you're mad that you have to be outside.
It's like you can't breathe. It's just it like hits you as soon as you walk out the door.
We put new sod down around the smokehouse where all the ground was tore up, and that's a fight trying to keep that stuff watered and not burn up. This heat, I don't even know if it's gonna work.
I think we should have waited till late.
Let's let that dirt sit there for a while.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's green right now, but who knows? We're having to water it almost around the clock.
We went to St. Louis this past week.
We did.
Checked out a Cardinals game.
Man, that was a lot of fun.
And we found a place called the Peacemaker Lobster and Crab.
Highly recommend.
You want to talk about what was the type? So first of all, we got some oysters, some raw oysters.
Yeah, they were Wellfleet oysters. They had 3 or 4 different species, and the guy kind of told us, do you like a briny oyster? You want medium? How do you want it? And you said you like them briny.
Heck yeah, I want to taste those.
So I was like, okay, I'll try them. Most of the oysters I eat are Gulf oysters.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess some of the best ones that I remember, those Murder Points from down there in Alabama. But these were, I don't know where I'm guessing Wellfleet are like northeastern.
I think so.
Cold
I think
water?
all theirs were northeastern.
Yeah, but man,
They're a smaller oyster.
yeah, they were. They're about the size of, I don't know, a little bit bigger than a quarter, maybe.
Because the Gulf oysters will be
Huge.
Yeah.
Some of them 2 or 3 biters.
Yeah.
These were, but man, they tasted phenomenal. Like
They're some of the better oysters I've had lately.
That's what I was like. Can you believe we're getting these in St. Louis, Missouri? Not even anywhere near like mid America as you could get. And they had oysters that good. Tyler, the lobster, they had lobster rolls, so we had to try those.
Yeah.
I've never ordered a lobster roll at a restaurant.
That was my first lobster roll. Yeah.
I got mine Connecticut style, and which is delicious.
What?
It's like this little toasted. It's like a brioche hot dog bun.
Yeah.
And they kind of cut the edges on it so they can toast it. And then they just took lobster meat and dunked it in
Perfectly cooked
lobster meat, dunked it in melted butter, and drizzled more melted butter on top. And that was it. No filler, no nothing. Lobster meat on this little toasted brioche smothered in butter. And I don't even know how to describe how good it was.
They had some Old Bay on the table. Some Old Bay and some hot sauce on every table. So
That's legit.
Yeah.
That's when you know.
And then you got what style do they call it?
Maine.
They call it Maine style, I guess.
which was mayonnaise, dill, chives, or something like that.
Tarragon probably
Yeah,
usually is
maybe
one.
tarragon. Yeah,
I didn't even try yours. So what did you think about it?
It was really good. It was delicious.
Of the two, because you did try mine. Which one did you like
I
better?
don't know. The Connecticut style was pretty good.
I didn't even know there was a difference in styles.
Not that crazy.
Rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. I just thought it was lobster roll. And the bread was perfect. It was like soft, but crushed, a little crunchy on the outside.
I will say this: lobster rolls are not cheap.
That was the most expensive lunch we've ever had.
Like $37 for a lobster roll.
The closer you go east,
Yeah.
the less expensive.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure. We were in Missouri.
But Michael had crab legs, and he said they were phenomenal. I got a lobster boil, which lobster boil. To me, I was thinking like shrimp, how you do a shrimp boil. It's going to be potatoes, corn, sausage, stuff like that. And then it'll be a lobster. Well, they said, do you want us to shell it for you? Because I guess it was just going to be a whole lobster.
They're just going to give you a lobster.
Yeah, but and the only reason why I order it is because I kind of watch when stuff comes out of the kitchen and other people are getting it. And they set this down in front of this other guy that was sitting at the table by us. And I was like, oh, what is that, shell? And so I asked our waiter, and he's go, that's the lobster boil. And I said, I want that. He said, well, he got his shell. We shelled it in the back for him. He said, some people like it. It's like an extra $15. I was like, yeah, go ahead. Why not?
You
You
don't
only
know how
live
to
one
shell.
YOLO, right?
Yeah.
I never shelled a whole lobster. I mean, I can figure it out, I think. But I think
You could get
my
up in
thinking
there,
was, so if you pay them to do it, they're going to bring you out the perfect piece of lobster. Like, they're not going to send something out all mangled up and overcooked, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, it came out
It was like two beautiful claws and a tail.
in a tail and a little bit of other meat that came out
Yeah.
of it, I guess. But I don't know. Like, I've had lobster, had a bunch. I've never really been like, oh, this is the best meat in the world or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just lobster. I'm like, shrimp's probably better.
Yep.
Crab legs are way better to
Yep.
me. But it's lobster, so, and so this lobster, I see why lobster is some of the, most expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Because it was melt in your mouth, soft. It wasn't tough and chewy like I've had some, and it was that place blew me away. I'm not gonna lie. It's called Peacemaker Lobster and Crab in St. Louis, and I think they have like two locations. One's in like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and one's here in St. Louis. Which I don't know the correlation there, but if you're in that area, I highly recommend going and getting.
And you got a little extra change in your pocket.
Yeah. And it's like in this little bitty neighborhood. Like you would not, it's not what you would expect. It's like a little seafood house.
Speaking of little neighborhoods, did y'all go to the hills? Like
No.
little
No.
Italian.
Oh, no.
That was the
heard
only,
about that.
so we were there. It was only a 2-nighter.
Yeah.
And the first night we stayed there in Ballpark Village and just kind of, checked out the little bars and
Yeah, we got some
restaurants there.
wings. Watch the watch LSU
Yep.
win the College
that
World
was
Series.
awesome.
Heck yeah. The Hills is just like this little Italian village for those of y'all that don't know. And like, it's so authentic. Like me and my wife went to eat at Antonio's Taverna, I believe it's called. Super like, there's St. Louis style toasted raviolis and they're so good. And then they're obviously like their pastas and stuff are really good, but it's kind of like a Greek and Italian mix. Like they have spanakopita and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was like really interesting, but we parked on the street and there's like families like yelling at each other through the front porch, like, "Hey, ma!" And it's you're like, I feel like I'm like in
Little Italy.
right now.
I've always heard that St. Louis has a great like Italian scene.
I saw a Carmine Steakhouse that was downtown I
Yeah.
want to go to.
Someone told you that one was a little pricey, but
Yeah. Next time.
that's where I like to spend my money. On fancy restaurants.
We went to the aquarium at
experiences.
Union Station.
Yeah.
That's, Michael got to touch some animals there. They had this tank full of, I don't know what they were. I think they were like the Mexican fish that come up and clean your feet. But you put your hands down in it and they just like flog to you.
and start nibbling on you. When you
It's a weird feeling.
So most people, they stick their hand down in there. You get like 5 or 6 fish,
Mm-hmm.
Malcolm stuck his hand down in there and it was like,
Swarm. I was like, I must be extra salty or something. I did drink some minerals that morning. You think that's what it was? Like 92 essential minerals coming out. They were like, yeah, it freaked me out. I got my hand out of there quick. I was like, I was expecting a few, not 10,000. What else there was a stingray tank and a
they had a lot of stuff to touch.
sea anemones.
Yeah.
Jellyfish. I didn't know you could touch jellyfish, but they had a tank of jellyfish you could touch. I didn't touch
those,
one. Michael
yeah.
did.
That's a little scary.
I know.
Yeah. They didn't have they had little tentacles, but
So this week you cooked butcher paper ribs for your YouTube video.
I did. I wanted I really just was wanting some good ribs to eat. That's the only reason why I did them. Because when we cook ribs to eat, we don't do all the glazing and all the stuff in the wrap and all, because that's more of a competition style, and you get tired of eating. I mean, you'll glaze them
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
But you don't do the heavy, thick, sweet.
Most of the time, when I eat a rib, I want a really good bark on the outside, and I like the drier style rib, which you get with butcher paper. But it's a texture thing, and so like for me, if I'm gonna cook the perfect slab of ribs to eat, stick burner pit, because I'm burning real wood on it and it's getting that authentic smoke. And I used hickory wood. That tasted phenomenal. Got my smokehouse seasoned up. It smells like a smokehouse now after just a couple cooks.
It does. In a good way.
A great, yes. Yeah, like you walk in, if you've ever been to one of those restaurants, you walk in and you can just smell. That's the way the smell's starting to get. And you just can't get that not burning real wood.
Yeah.
And so it makes authentic barbecue. And is it Texas style? Yeah, I would say so, because when I first started seeing anything about wrapping something in butcher paper, I always thought butcher paper was like what you brought home from the grocery store. They wrap raw meat up in, or they had the freezer paper version that you could freeze meat in. That was butcher paper to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this. You would see people call it pink or peach butcher paper. And in Texas, they use it to wrap briskets. And I guess it probably comes from the German influence over there, those markets, like, the ones like Kreitz Market and, Schmitty's and places like that, where those are old school barbecue institutions in Texas. I'm sure they brought some of that.
German origin.
They brought some of that market style to the brisket or to barbecue and started wrapping and stuff like that. I don't know if it's cheaper than foil.
That was one of my questions for you.
Probably not. I would think.
Depends on where you get it.
Yeah. Because butcher paper is pretty expensive. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have some that we've had labeled that we use, and it's not cheap. It's not a cheap product.
It does last a
long time. The advantage of it to me is when you wrap something in aluminum foil, it's steaming inside that full packet. You're trapping every bit of moisture, every bit of rendered fat. Anything you put in there is staying in that foil. So the meat's just kind of steaming, almost, roasting inside that package. Well, when you wrap it up in butcher paper protects it. Like, it doesn't let it get overly smoked or, over too much heat on it. So you get some of that. But it also absorbs a lot of the moisture that's cooking out of the meat. And so it gets in the paper. The paper is kind of porous. And so it sponges it a little bit. It don't get all of it, but it gets a lot of it. And so it allows smoke to penetrate it a little bit. So you still get some smoke flavor. It protects your meat from drying out because it is holding that moisture against the paper, so it's not going to dry out as bad, which helps you. And it just makes a beautiful bark.
Does it
on
help
the outside.
It tenderize like
you're going to get some, because it is holding some heat in, being wrapped up, kind of tight, but it's not pressuring as much as it would, like breaking it down as much as it would as if it was wrapped up tight and full, or plastic wrap and full, some way like that. So I mean. Personally, I think it works fantastic, and it gives me the bark I want. Now, I've done it a couple different ways, especially when doing ribs. When we wrap ribs, usually they're going down in the full. We're kind of cooking them meat down the whole time.
Bone up, meat down.
Yeah, bone up, meat down. They're getting really tender. I mean, you're cooking them, you're breaking them down.
And essentially all your juices are running to the bottom, right?
Yeah. All the juice is pulling in the bottom. The meat's sitting down in it. It's cooking. You lose a lot of that seasoning that you worked hard to kind of build the bark on because you're putting it in so much moisture. And so it just kind of, steams it off a little bit. When you do it in paper, it doesn't do it as bad. Now, if you flip the meat over and go meat down in paper, you're going to get more of a wash off than you would, because you got to think that all the meat juice is coming to the bottom, trying to get in the paper from the bottom, but it's sitting in some of it. And so it's going to take some of it off too. So what I figured was if I go meat up, I preserve my bark. So that's, and usually that's how I've always, done ribs in there. Just go meat up with them if you really want that nice texture on top.
Yeah, to keep that bark.
Yeah. And I mean, you could season, and the ribs, you could season them anyway. Like most people think of Texas barbecue, they think of that pepper and salt crust. That's about all a lot of those places use, the old fashioned places. Well, I mean, being
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. No, I love a good salt pepper rib. But I like some color on them too. I like to give my ribs that mahogany look, so I use some barbecue rub. I used my hot rub, kind of keeping away from the sugars a little bit. I wanted a little spice. I wanted some of that color, and I wanted, that
It's
good
got a
savory
good savory
note.
note
Savory
to it,
note.
yeah.
That's what I like, because it goes with the pork so good. I mean, when you're tasting it, first to me, you take a bite of it, you're probably smelling the smoke first, because the meat's been smoked, and then you taste it, so you get a little bit of that hickory flavor, but then you get the pork, the real rich flavor, and then you get that balance from the salt and the pepper, a little bit of spice, a little bit of tingle, but not bad. It's not like it's a hot rib, and that flavor there to me is, it's outstanding.
So when did you start playing with wrapping ribs in butcher paper? Like, when did you?
I mean,
well, first of all, did you always wrap your ribs?
Yeah, we've always. Well, I mean, like when I used to cook on a backwoods, a water cooker, you don't have to wrap ribs.
Yeah.
And so that was times
y'all
we get away
them?
from. We did, because in comps we always wrapped, because you're trying to get maximum flavor in there, and that allows you to add some richness by the butters, add the sweetness
And
from your honeys, get the little peppery flavor from whatever version of a hot sauce you put in it, whether it's a pepper jelly or a tiger sauce or a rib candy or something like that. It's got some heat to it. So we're putting all those elements in a competition rib. Well, I mean, eating rib at home, you don't really do that. And when you're wrapping butcher paper, you wouldn't want to put butter or the margarine or any of that stuff on them, because it's just too much for the paper. It's going to sog out. The paper can only absorb so much. You're going to mess.
Against your whole
working
premise.
against And I've never honestly tried to do like a comp rib in butcher paper. I just didn't ever see the point in putting all that stuff, because to me, I'm wanting to keep the bark that I've got the whole time.
Yeah. If you're using butcher paper, you're going for a different style rib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you'll cook, say they cook the briskets pretty much done, and they just wrap them at the very end. They're wrapping them to hold. So there's some people that do that with the butcher paper too. But the first place I saw is when you started seeing cooking shows showing, these Texas barbecue joints, and they would have stuff wrapped up in paper. And then Franklin came out with his first book and kind of showing the technique, that Texas style, how people used butcher paper. And I think that's when you first started seeing it kind of spread. There wasn't many places to buy it from. Like, I think I got it from Amazon.
Yeah,
the
we
first
had to
times.
source it when we started using it years ago.
Yeah, and I just had to buy the roll of it and hoping it was the right stuff, because it wasn't a big thing, Now you're seeing people that come out with their own line of it. They even sell it like at Academy.
Yeah.
You can find it. I don't think it's in grocery stores yet. I hadn't seen it.
I don't know. I mean, they got
But
pellets
I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing it, like,
me too.
especially in the grilling section, like Reynolds or one of these other companies that would come up. The people that make a parchment paper, I don't know why they don't make a butcher paper for grilling.
Yeah.
Just call it grilling paper
yeah.
or whatever.
I want to say that Reynolds did come out with a butcher paper.
They
might have thought about that.
Yeah, they may have. I don't know. I mean, since we sourced it from a company down in Florida where pretty much everybody does that I know, and you have to buy like pallets of it. It's not like you can give me 10 rolls. I mean, you got to buy loads of it.
But I mean, Traeger has their own. Grilla has their own.
Yeah.
All these grills
have their own.
You can buy them, and
I'm sure Camp Chef, Pit Boss, everybody's got their own paper now. But it works, and I like using it, but I use it for other stuff too. I don't just use it for cooking. Like when meat comes off, I'll put it on a sheet pan and serve on it. You see that a lot of times out in Texas. They get the barbecue on trays. It's not all individually wrapped up. They serve it on like a sheet pan tray with butcher paper over it. I use it for prep. A lot of times I'll throw that out on my cutting board just to put meat on and stuff. So there's it's got other options other than just wrapping some meat on the grill.
Would you ever use butcher paper in a competition?
I don't think so. Just because, especially for brisket and for ribs and for pork butt, that's in competitions. It's kind of more about the sauce and the flavors you're getting on it, and it's not so much about a good hard bark. Yeah, that would get you counted down at a contest if you turned in just that Texas style bark. So I mean, not that you couldn't go back and glaze something, but you're not really able to add the butter to get that richness in there. I think it just takes away from it. Most of the time in comps, we're looking to speed the cook up a little because we're on a tight time frame. So aluminum foil helps you with that. Butcher paper's kind of that low and slow, not low and slow, but it's slower method of getting there. So
is there a different way to cook with butcher paper full? Like if you're cooking ribs, or is your time and temps and things going to change? How
I would just think
wrap
time would be a little longer.
Okay.
But a lot of times with the butcher paper, I don't wrap near as soon as I would with the aluminum foil.
Okay.
Because, I'm looking at that 155, 160 on most things when I wrap in full. Because we're just setting that color. We're setting our bark pretty fast, and then we're getting it tender. And it's spending more time in that full. With butcher paper, I'm pushing it. Like you said, I wrapped those ribs when I probed them. They were like 170 something right there. And so that's a little, that's probably 10 degrees further when I normally wrap them. And I've seen some people say they don't wrap till they're like 180. They're waiting on that stall. So, it changes a little bit of the technique. I probably could have, you could have wrapped them a little earlier than I did.
Yeah.
But, I think you get a little bit better bark to let it push out. You just want to catch them before they get too dark. That's my thing when I wrap with butcher paper. I'm pushing it up to that envelope where everything's real pretty dark mahogany, but not turning black.
Those were beautiful. When
when I pulled them out, they were really gorgeous.
So which would you? What do you think's better, full butcher paper or no wrap?
I don't think one's better than the other. I think they all have their place. Me personally, if I just want to make me some good eating ribs, I'm probably just going to wrap them up some butcher paper. But, if I had all day and wanted to just take my time cooking them and spray them or baste them a lot, I'd probably go no wrap. And then if I'm trying to get a bunch of ribs done and I'm really wanting them to be fall off the bone super tender, I'm going to wrap them up. So there's no right or wrong place to use either one. It's kind of just preference. What kind of texture you want on your seat.
Outcome. Will the butcher paper help you get through the stall like a full will?
Not as much. I'm sure it helps some, but it doesn't. Like full's holding everything in there and really pressuring it. Butcher paper's not going to do that as much.
What do you think's easier?
Full all day long.
Why?
Just aluminum foil. It's cheap, it's thin. You can layer it up. You can form it to whatever shape you want. It wraps up nice and tight. And,
it's easy to get rid of.
It's easy to get rid of. Yeah, it's not as messy. You can't reburn that full. That butcher paper, you can use it to start your fire. It's soaked up all that meat juice. You can just use it like a little tumbleweed and just wad up some of it, throw it in there and light it. And it's like, take a paper towel and vegetable oil or something. It's going to work in that same effect.
Probably
so I see a lot of those guys do that. They'll have like an old metal ash tub or something. And they'll take those butcher paper wrappers and dump out any juice that might have accumulated, but let the soaked paper go down in that little pail. And that's what they'll start their pits with.
Smart.
Yeah.
Little upcycle.
Upcycle.
Or just 2 for 1, I guess.
Yeah, 2 for 1. So when you cook these ribs, you started them off kind of low.
Yeah.
Lower than normal. And then you cranked them up halfway through the cook.
I did.
Did you crank them up when you wrapped? Is that
I just kind of let it.
You kind of
let the pit dictate what it wanted to do, and I did keep it checked back for like the first hour or so.
Why?
So I brought it up slow, and you're not going to hold I'm not going to hold that outlaw at 225. It just don't want to breathe. It don't want to get good airflow at 225, and so it likes to go to 275. That's its preferred where it wants to roll, and that's what most stick burners run true at. But I checked it back and just controlled the exhaust vent a little more to hold it in that smoke temperature, because I really wanted to let the meat hang out at a lower temp in the smoke so it could absorb it more. Because when it's higher heat, you're not getting as much smoke penetration. Smoke's rolling over it. The air's flowing through there a lot. But when you got it choked back just a little bit, I'm getting smoke time on that meat a little bit more, and it's not as harsh a heat. So those pores in the ribs will just absorb it. And it makes a real pretty smoke ring that way too. You really get the flavor. And then as the cook goes, I kind of let it creep. And it really, I don't get caught up on the dial a whole lot. Like I know that if I get my cold bed right and I'm adding a split about every 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the split you're using. That day, I had some bigger ones and I only burned like 3 pieces of wood that whole cook because I got a long burn time. The first 2, I got nearly 3 hours out of. Now that second one, just to finish it out, I had it gapped open just a little bit more, so I had a little more airflow, and I let it creep up to 275. It got a hair over. If it gets 300, I don't care. I know it's going to, as those BTUs play out a little, it's going to taper back down. You just don't want it open enough to where it's going to go to 450, 500. Yeah. That's the key with it. So you kind of learn your pit and know where to set your intake vent. You know about the size of fire it's going to run, and you use your exhaust vent to control it. That's the easiest way. And if you looked on that Outlaw, like when that dial, it's wide open at the 6 o'clock position. That would be pointed straight down. Well, at the 3 o'clock position, it's completely shut off, the little butterfly valve in it. And so it doesn't have much play there. And I had it just probably at like maybe not even at 4 o'clock. It was just barely bumped open to stay there at 225, 250. And then I bumped it to about 4 o'clock, if that makes sense to you, to get it to run just at 275. And that's usually where I let it stay the whole time. And now I noticed indoors, it runs a lot smoother.
What do you mean indoors?
Well, in my screened-in cooking area at the Smokehouse, there's no battling wind or anything from outside, so it just ran true. And Mark was over there with me the first time we were cooking on it. I said, "Man, I can't believe how smooth this pit's running in here." And I guess it's just because there's no wind blowing over the top of it. There's no wind blowing in the exhaust vent because it's inside. It's kind of contained.
So that was our first video inside this new smokehouse.
First one we released. First one we released.
Yeah.
We did a little filming with Grilla, and those videos are still getting produced.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was the first one that we shot and released there.
How does it feel filming in your new smokehouse? I
will say this. It was probably, 95 degrees that day.
Yeah.
We were filming, and I was like, I could film all day. There was no heat that was too much. I mean, it was warm outside in the little screened-in area.
Yeah.
But that's why we built this indoor area, outdoor area. So I could just step right inside and season everything. Absolutely zero flies. But did you notice when I opened that screen door how many flies were on that porch wanting to get in?
No,
they were outside the screened-in area, but they didn't get in the screened-in area either.
Yeah.
So it's working. And that was, my big thing was why I need an inside place. If we're going to continue to film videos and, do this year round, we needed a really good covered place that had, an outdoor feel to it. So that's the outside smokehouse. And then an inside place that we could control the lighting. We could control the temperature. I mean, I can get it down to a reefer. I can get that AC ginning in there.
It gets cold.
So I'm going to have to get y'all some jackets while I'm up there filming and sweating. But it makes such a big difference being comfortable doing it. That is what I was like. I was like, man, why do we wait so long? I've been filming outside and having to, just take breaks and the cameras overheat. I mean, it's crazy that at our house, what are we using? Those Canon R6s, those, and shooting at 4K, they can't. I mean, you overheat them when it gets above 80 degrees outside. You can't be in any direct sun hardly. And then those cameras get hot. And there's been times, Tyler, we've just had to stop and let the cameras cool off.
Yeah.
And we're not having to do that.
Or hold umbrellas above.
Or hold umbrellas above it, or put a tent up.
Yeah.
And if it's raining, we can't film at the house or anything. Yeah. So here, it takes the elements out of the equation for us. I've noticed it with my pits right away, especially the stick burner. That's not going to affect the pellet grills and stuff, because the wind don't really bother them. But any other grills that I do, it will. But it's coming along. When we don't have it completely decorated. No, but we've got it to where we can film in it now.
We're still working on lighting and sound. We got a little echo and stuff, but
the more stuff you get in there, we got to get some rugs and some stuff on the walls.
Rugs for your smokehouse.
Well, I mean, you just got to have something to keep the sound from. You want to stop it from bouncing.
Oh, I'm in full decorator mode right now. I can't wait. Got a lot of good ideas. How's that evac system working for you?
It's working great. It takes it about, once it gets ginning, I don't know. When I fired the pit up, would it take it less than 5 minutes to kind of clear it out? It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. I'll tell you what, the pellet grill fire up produced more smoke in there than the stick burner did.
But that was a first burn, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was initial burn in on one. But it clears it out. I mean, you can't run the fan and the smoke evac because they work against each other. And then I tried reversing the fan so it would pull it up to the evac, and it just pulls it up too fast. So it's better just to shut the fan off, let the evac pull everything out and then turn your fan back on. It's kind of what I've learned.
I'm excited to go down there. I haven't been down there yet.
Tyler, you hadn't seen it. It's pretty.
I know,
I think everybody else has seen it, but you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I was out with the baby, but it looks beautiful. Like, I think the video turned out awesome, and we really hope y'all like it.
It's
I'm ready to film some more.
Yeah, it's going to be much more. I feel like you enjoy filming more.
Yeah.
When you have it.
I mean, maybe it's just because it's new.
Yeah.
Give me a year and see. No, I mean, I feel better about someone coming. Like, if somebody wants to come film with me or something like that, we got a spot now.
Yes.
It's not just in the backyard at the house,
Before it's like, I got to get the house cleaned up.
Yeah.
And then you got a whole crew inside your house. And then it's like, well, you can come stay in our weird guest bedroom.
Upstairs that the cat might be in. When you're not. The cat room.
Yeah. Now we have a place that's just comfortable. You don't feel like you're in somebody's home. And, we got an extra bedroom we can put them up in. It's just really good. So do you have any people on your list that you're interested in getting to come film?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I definitely do.
You don't want to.
You want me to drop names?
You don't have to if you don't want to. I can tell you, I won't. My first one. I'd like for us to get Tuffy Stone.
Yeah, I've talked to Tuffy about it. I've talked to Sterling, Big Papa. He's I may get him to swing through there this fall. I've talked to several people that might drop in. So
I like the idea of having them come in and come down there. We're wanting to put a little podcast spot down there so we can do a podcast. We can get some filming.
I got Russell Wright. He's going to come and show me how to make Brunswick stew the Georgia way.
We do not have a Brunswick stew recipe.
I thought I did one like years ago.
Yeah, but we just kind of took a picture and you put up a recipe. We didn't do like a video.
That was okay. Yeah, I hadn't. That's a Brunswick stew. Some good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of eating it in the summertime. Like, to me, that's a wintertime dish.
Yeah, it's like
so
chili.
hard. Yeah. But we're gonna have to do that. Learn how to do that the right way.
The right way.
The Russell Wright way.
See what you did there.
You also did molasses baked beans. A recipe for that.
Yeah, I did. Those turned out really good. Man, that's that's probably the first way I ever learned to make baked beans. And my mom taught me how to do it. She always just used molasses, cheap Kraft barbecue sauce. Like, whatever barbecue sauce was on sale is what we had at my house growing up.
Yep.
There was no, $5-6 sauce bottles.
Oh, no.
There was no restaurant bottles or anything like that.
I don't think they had them back then, did they?
I don't think so. I mean, I remember like Kraft, Casey Masterpiece, Cattleman's. Yeah. That was about all I really.
And then like some generic store brand.
Yeah, there's always something like that. But Kraft was probably the big one. And I guess you had Sweet Baby Ray's. But that wasn't really big in the South at the time growing up. And I remember when Sweet Baby Ray's kind of came on, but I was older.
Yeah.
But initially it was just 75-cent bottle of Kraft. Original or brown sugar or molasses. But we always had molasses. My dad loves like molasses and biscuits. Something he grew up eating. And so we always had this like old, it wasn't like the jar like I found. But would I have grandma's molasses?
Yeah.
My dad would not have liked that. Because that's not like, he likes the homemade ones. They come in like a paint can.
Yeah.
You got to use a screwdriver or a butter knife to pry the lid off, and that's how you eat molasses. Like the kind they serve at Lambert's restaurant.
Yeah. It's a little paint can, but it is a paint can.
Yeah, it's a paint can. I mean, it's like a paint can.
Yeah.
But that's how they're supposed to be. And so that's what they would put in baked beans instead of brown sugar. And my mom always, like, sometimes she would chop up some vegetables in it. You would have onions and peppers and stuff like that. But not always, if it was just an easy baked bean. But she always put bacon on top of them. And so as a kid, I didn't appreciate the bacon. I was like, why do you want that raw bacon in there? It's not cooking. I always thought bacon was supposed to be fried and crispy,
You've always fought me on putting bacon in baked beans.
But I still do it. I just cook it a little bit first.
Yeah.
But for these, I was going authentic. And believe it or not, that bacon in those beans was absolutely delicious.
It like melted in your mouth.
Yeah, you think he's got this old big piece of bacon. No, as you scooped it, it tore and blended in. But
it flavors the beans so well.
That's all it's about.
Yeah.
That smoked bacon, cooking down in those beans for 2-3 hours, there's no right or wrong way to put them in the oven or on a pit and cook them. Like they just hang out. Like you're not going, well, we got to cook beans today. It's just beans is something you do to go with whatever else you're cooking.
And you throw it on any pit.
You throw it on any pit at whatever temp you're cooking at, covered or non-covered.
As long as you want, really.
Just let them go. Yeah, just let them go. And that's all I did. I mean,
you did put the bacon on top. And
I bacon on top and seasoned it with some rub.
Which I like that because I feel like the bacon really gets cooked.
It does, yeah.
Question: do you do like chunks of it or is
no
it like
strips?
Just whole strips.
I just put whole strips like over I had it in a casserole dish, and just put strips of bacon from one side to the other. What it held like 5, 6 strips,
something like that.
And it just kind of falls apart as you're kind of scooping it out.
Yeah. It cooked it draws down. I mean, bacon shrinks, and then it just kind of folds in as you can stir it up at the end if you want to. I didn't.
Yeah,
but,
you could because it looks
as you got a
prettier.
piece of it, as you took your spoon, you could just get a little bit of the bacon and go right to it.
I'm down.
So it was just beans. It was real easy, like beans, barbecue sauce, molasses. Did you put barbecue rub in it?
Rub, yeah. Put rub in it.
That was about it.
That's about it. Yeah.
Maybe a little mustard. I forgot.
Yeah, a little mustard.
Yeah. There's no real.
I don't remember. I mean, it's been a couple weeks now, but it was a simple, easy as it gets bean recipe.
There's really no bean recipe either. You just kind of dump.
Yeah, and that's beans is what you got on hand. Now, the kicker for this one was stay true to my roots. Showboat pork and beans. Now, I don't know if a lot of people still eat pork and beans or buy pork and beans, but that's what we bought. Anytime we were having a barbecue, we bought pork and my dad always had pork and beans. Like he liked to eat them out of a can. Like he'd eat a bologna sandwich and pork and beans like with nothing. We'd have them sometimes for dinner at night, just some pork and beans.
That's so crazy.
But we didn't use Bush's baked beans back then, you know. It was straight pork and beans, and it's like a little white navy type bean and kind of a tomatoey sweet sauce almost.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good.
Especially
but they make the best baked beans starting with them. And so even when we did contests, I always bought the big cans of the Showboat pork and beans.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some other brands, but Showboat's the best. It's like the blue plate. It's the blue Showboat is the blue plate of pork and beans.
Speaking of blue plate, it's the best mayonnaise on the planet.
Have you ever put mayonnaise in your baked beans when they're done? Because see, like you're you're certified mayonnaise eater. You got your card in your wallet and everything. When you eat like black-eyed peas for New Year's, you put a little blue plate mayo in it.
You just put a little smidge.
When you eat like brown beans, do you put mayo in brown beans, pinto beans?
I'm not a big brown bean eater.
Would you be opposed to putting dab of blue plate on your baked beans?
Heck no. I would
Creamifying them.
I think barbecue sauce and mayonnaise go really, really well together.
So why don't they make creamy barbecue sauce? They make creamy everything else.
I mean, I guess that's your white barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what it'd be like. Just taking some barbecue sauce and mixing some mayonnaise in it. Probably pretty good.
It's a good experiment.
Yeah.
I'm down. I love it.
Do it.
Well, when I make my barbecue pulled pork sandwich, I put a little mayonnaise on it.
Yeah, you eat coleslaw on barbecue sandwich. They say that's what you sold me on. I was like, I'll never put mayonnaise on my barbecue sandwich. Like spread it on the bun.
You do it all the time.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I don't. Who eats mayonnaise on a barbecue sandwich? She's like, you like coleslaw on it, don't you? And I was like, dadgum, you're right. What's blue plate is in the coleslaw? Like, why is it not? And so I tried it, like smeared some on a bun. Man, it makes the best barbecue sandwich. Like you put that and some black pepper, some pork, some hot sauce. You don't even need anything else. That's
really
like
don't.
if I'm making me a barbecue sandwich at home after I've cooked the pork butt, I don't like, that's how I like to do it. I like to pull the pork butt, pull out what I want for my sandwich, kind of special. Mayonnaise the bun, black pepper, pork, and just hot sauce. No barbecue sauce, no vinegar sauce, nothing. Just that. No slaw. I don't need the slaw anymore if I got the mayonnaise on it. And it's good.
A little vinegar sauce on the side, maybe, if you want to.
I don't even need that. That's for rib dabbing.
But Blue Plate is the best mayonnaise on the planet. If you're having mayonnaise this weekend, why not have Blue Plate?
I love your little promos you throw in there. Quality since 1927. Uses real eggs. Is it egg yolks or eggs? What is it?
Egg yolks.
Yeah,
okay.
real egg yolks.
Cheat sheet.
Haven't changed the recipe since they started.
So the other day,
has a touch of sugar in it. No nutritional value, but it's in there. Not enough to register.
The other day, you cooked some chicken thighs. Yesterday, actually.
I did.
And you pulled them off the pit. I was doing something else, didn't know what you did. And I tried. I was like, what'd you season this with? And you said it was just a 30-minute marinade.
15-minute marinade. That's what it said.
Yeah, really?
What's the difference in that and the 30-minute? I think it was like the Lowry's teriyaki 15-minute marinade in a bottle. We were down at the smokehouse yesterday, waiting on some furniture to be delivered. And Shell was like, what are we going to eat for lunch? And so you found some steaks or something.
Yeah, we were pulling stuff out of the freezer. And
it's like a mystery meat pack. It ended up being Denver steaks. But I was like, well, we got to have some for dinner. So I just cooked some chicken thighs. So I saw some boneless, skinless thighs in there. I pulled them out. I was like, I ain't got time to thaw these out. Rock solid. Stuck them in the microwave.
Did you?
Defrost, 2
what
pounds.
Were they in like a
the tray they came from the store?
Oh, really?
Just like we had took them and stuck them. I don't know.
Were they not freezer burner?
I didn't. They tasted delicious to me. That's all I know. I didn't. It was, if they would have been off, I wouldn't have cooked them.
Yeah.
But I put them in the microwave, and it put it like when I put 2 pounds on the defrost, it put it on like 17 minutes or something like that. And I was like, I never thawed chicken in the microwave, but we're finna see. And so it got out, and it was still kind of icy a little bit. I could break them apart, so I got them out of the pack. Like, well, that worked pretty good. Ziploc bag, looked in the pantry, saw that marinade. I said, no, that'll work. Dumped it in there. 12 minutes. I didn't even go the full 15. Went outside, started a pellet grill, and this was pellet grill burnt ass chicken.
Yeah.
Because I had it going for those little Denver steaks. And put it on 350, took those out of the marinade, blotted them a little bit, put them right on the rack, spread them out, seasoned them with a little Swine Life prime beef. Don't ask me why. I just like, well, it's got an umami flavor. Let's go with it. And I don't know, 40 total minutes is all they took at 350. I turned them halfway and seasoned the backside, and then they were done. And man, you were surprised that they were that good, weren't you?
Yeah, I was like, what'd you season this with? It was so flavorful.
It's one of those accidents. Like,
yeah, you were just messing around.
Yeah, we were gonna have it with a salad. That's what we had for dinner last night.
Yeah,
cut up
chicken
teriyaki style chicken thighs with a salad.
Caesar salad.
Caesar salad. Combination worked. It ain't always got to be lobster.
Well, we were just
and the Denver steak was fire too. Now,
yeah.
Now this was some Kevin's from the butcher shop down in Pensacola's Denver steaks, and they had been in that package. And I don't know how they ended up at deer camp. But
I wasn't even sure what it was.
I wouldn't either until I got
like,
thawed out.
It's not a ribeye.
Yeah,
and I was like, it's not a.
It was 2 perfect pieces of Denver steak.
And I was like,
which is
it's
off
marbled.
the chuck.
Yeah, I could tell it was marbled. But
so I kind of did a number on them. I did like Willingham, some Swine Life.
How'd you defrost them? I kind of thought them in water.
They were in the sink and in about 2 inches of water in a vacuum seal pack. I just took them out of that pack and kind of patted them dry a little bit, and then and those I was like, they've been in this freezer for I don't know how long.
I was expecting them to taste freezer burnt.
Which
is like the worst flavor.
Yeah, you could tell the pickup. But I hit them with Willingham's, let that melt in, which kind of it's like a dry marinade almost. Swine Life, little hot rub, and TX to make a crust. And on all, I guess it's 4 sides of those steaks, kind of. Yeah. Put them on that pellet grill at 350. I was like, well, this may be a bust. But after about 20 minutes, I went out and looked at them. And I was like, man, I flipped them over, and it was like sizzled up and had great marks on it. So I let them roll on that side, 350. But I put them up right on the edge of the door, so they kind of get that flame coming out from under that diverter, heat diverter.
Oh, okay.
And so it was kind of grilling them. And those steaks aren't 2 inches wide. They're like little rectangles.
Yeah.
And so by the time they got to 130, I pulled them off and just let them sit. And I called, went and got you. I was like, their steaks are done. And I sliced them up. And man, those things would just melt in your mouth.
They would.
Melt in your mouth. I'm talking like they weren't that good, I don't think, when they were first put in the package. I don't know why they were that good. They were delicious. It was amazing.
I was going to ask you about cooking.
That was another mistake. It's like you never know what you're going to you never know what you're going to figure out just doing something, to be doing it.
Yeah.
'Cause that's all I was doing. You were putting together this little table, and I was like, I'll throw something on the grill for lunch.
Yeah, You do that a lot. You're like, let's see what happens if I do this.
I mean, worst case scenario, throw it away, right?
Yeah, you're always learning.
I'm making freezer space.
And that's the important part right there.
Cook through the freezer.
That should be our summer goal.
We need you know how on TikTok, what's the guy's name from Michigan Barbecue Addicts, where he's got spin the wheel. He does the spin the wheel thing for what's it called? Spin
roll for barbecue.
Roll for barbecue. We could do that with a freezer. You put everything you got on a wheel, and you go in there and you spin it and see what it is. That's what you're cooking.
I got all the dice.
Yeah,
do it.
We got to go in there and itemize the.
You have to itemize it. You know, that's really not a bad idea anyway. I would use more stuff if I had a list of it on the outside of the freezer, so I knew what I had, because it's like a never-ending vault of stuff. You put stuff down in there and it works its way towards the bottom and you forget it's in there. And because I have great intentions when I buy the stuff, I've got a good deal on it. You know, it looked like a good piece of meat, goes in the freezer. And then it's like when you get ready to cook something, well, I'll just run to the store and grab something.
Yeah.
I don't even think about,
checking what you
that
got.
tomahawk I got down in the bottom of the freezer or whatever, because I got a good deal on it.
Oh, you're the worst about that.
Yeah. But if I knew it was in there and it was like on a list, I'd go down through there and say, oh, wow. You like, as much as you like to prep, you think that'd be like,
I'm thinking.
Something you'd like to do. Well, it'd let you know what you needed to buy too, because you scratched it off as you used it.
And I'm sure there's some.
We need more chicken breast. We need more pork loin, or whatever.
And I'm sure there's stuff in there that probably needs to go. It's like the seal's been.
I'm sure there's fish in there from fishing trips 3 years ago that we never got to.
Yeah.
I made a new rule on that. I'm not putting fish in the freezer when I'm on fishing trips. When we come back, we will eat fish for 2 weeks, however long it takes to eat it. But it's so much better. Like, once you freeze it, it's not near as good.
You won't cook it. Like, you put it in there and freeze it, and then I'm like, let's cook this fish. And you're like, it ain't going to be any good.
Because I know how good it is fresh, and I don't want to cook.
Well, let's get rid of it.
Maybe it's going to be one of those things where we just try it and see. Maybe it is good.
Hey. But I asked you, the whole me bringing up the chicken thigh thing is, I asked you, what makes a 30-minute marinade or a 15-minute marinade so much more effective than just any other marinade?
If I had to guess, just top of my head, no knowing, the amount of salt they put in it.
Yeah.
It's probably saltier.
Yeah.
Because,
I figured it was MSG, but.
What is it? Salt?
It's just that marinades only take 15 to 30 minutes.
Well, I mean, so the thing with marinades is you're really not getting down in the meat.
Yeah.
You're just putting it on the outside. So you can just about put it on and let it sit a minute and take it off. You'll get about the same, or basting with it as it cooks, you'll get about the same effect. But those chicken thighs absorb that 15-minute marinade really good.
Yeah. Well, they're thinner.
Yeah, they're thinner. Thinner cuts of meat do better than a marinade too.
So I did a bunch of research on marinades. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
This is Shell's learning time.
I love it.
So they found in a bunch of experiments that even after letting the meat soak in a marinade for up to 8 days, like they tried it at different levels, it doesn't matter how long you let it marinate, the marinade will only penetrate less than 1/8 of an inch into the meat. Mm. So if you got something big and thick, it's only going 1/8 of an inch. If you got little chicken thighs, it's going 1/8.
You ain't but 1/8 of an inch, so you can go all the way through those. So that makes sense.
So it only takes they're saying about 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes for any marinade.
Maximum to maximum to work?
Yeah.
No matter the salt level?
Yeah.
So it's not that it's a marketing thing. It's not that it's any different marinade.
Exactly.
They're just showing you can marinate fast in 15 minutes with this one, other than this 30-minute one sitting beside us.
Yeah.
And it's the same ingredients.
They'd say basically marinade only needs to be on the meat long enough to cover all the surfaces for a few minutes.
Come up with a 7-minute marinade.
It'll work just as good.
Let's do it.
Like 7-minute abs. What about 6-minute abs? You don't get it, man. It's 7. What movie is that from? Do you know what I'm talking about?
So on that same question that you're bringing up right now, I just watched a Guga video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. So he cooks 3 different strips in the video. 4. There's a control. There's one that
a New York strip?
Yes. Okay. New York strips. They're all New York strips. They're all the same. One of them he left in soy sauce for a day. One of them he leaves in soy sauce for a week. And one of them he leaves in soy sauce for 30 days. And
oh my gosh.
So obviously
That dissolve.
The longer,
Yeah.
you would think with the amount of sodium, but no. So it does get very, very hard by the time you get to 30 days. And the 30-day steak is literally like black as black that you can think of on a steak. And he cooked them all and then fed it to his friends, wanted him to try it. I think he seasoned them mostly all the same, except the soy sauce ones got less salt because he didn't want to kill anybody probably.
Yeah.
But so like a week was pretty good. It wasn't too salty. It was a little dark, nothing crazy. Or sorry, that was a day. And then a week was like starting to get a little dark, starting to get a little bit hard. And then the month was like hard as a brick, like super salty, crazy.
Yeah, almost jerkied it, I guess.
Yeah.
But like all the way through, like you go all the way in. And that might also have to do with the aging process as well. I imagine at 30
Imagine
days.
it just cured it.
Yeah.
Like totally cured it.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's so. Let me give you some facts here. Flavors will penetrate faster at room temperature than in the refrigerator.
So 15 minutes, something can set out too. You don't have to
Yep.
worry about it being in
Yep.
danger zone.
Salt is important because it can penetrate and season more deeply than any other ingredients.
That's a fact.
But marinades don't tenderize the meat. They can actually work against it, which is kind of
Why is that?
so. Acid can tenderize meat, but the acid will tenderize what it touches. Since it doesn't touch all the parts of the meat, it will actually turn the outside of the meat mushy
Oh,
and leave the inside firm.
so that makes sense. But what about, so they have these machines, it's like a vacuum marinator. Like, have y'all seen them? It's like a speed marinator.
Yeah,
You put them
yeah.
in there, you tumble them, and
I have seen that.
marinate stuff
I
better.
I didn't research that.
I guess what that's doing is kind of tenderizing and marinating it some kind of way by tumbling it.
They said the only way to really tenderize meat is all the way is through mechanical ways. So
Yeah.
either mallets,
Jacquards or
Jacquards,
something
things like that.
Yeah.
and there's 3 different types of marinades. You got an enzyme,
Which is like your
raw fruit,
kiwi, pineapple based stuff.
papaya, pineapple,
Bromelain.
kiwi, fig actually is one too, and mango.
What did all those have in common? They got a lot of bromelain.
They have enzyme protease, which breaks down meat proteins. And then you can dairy is actually another enzyme marinade.
Buttermilk. Think of that. How people marinating chicken in buttermilk.
Yep. Yogurt, people do in
Yeah,
yogurt too.
yeah. Lamb and yogurt. I've heard of that.
So that's an enzyme marinade too. But enzymes work overtime on your food and can turn them to jelly.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with people.
Vinegar will do that too. Does it say anything about people using?
Okay, so there's an acidic marinade.
That would be where vinegar.
So that's your
come in.
second type. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's acids like lemon juice, vinegar. They break down the proteins to tenderize the meat. And it's actually the acid relaxes the proteins in the meat, which make it more tender. But if you let it go too long, it's going to get tough.
Huh.
I wonder where the soy sauce falls on that. I figure it's probably acidic.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually turning it tough.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Then you got a dry marinade, which is the spices help disrupt the tissue, which helps infuse flavor into the meat.
And I would say most of that salt and sugar makes
Yeah,
that happen
yeah.
too.
Just your salt and sugar. So,
That's interesting. 3 ways to marinate:
but the
dry,
idea,
acidic, or enzyme.
but the idea of marinating overnight,
Yeah.
it's not really
Doesn't do you anything.
doesn't do you
Yeah.
any good. Supposedly, do you believe that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I mean, the only time I really marinate anything overnight was if you're really brining it. It's not marinating.
Yeah.
Different concentration, using a lot of water in it. That's where I think for long, and you get better flavor throughout the meat in a brine. But a marinade's usually, I think of it as something I would do maybe a couple hours at the most.
Yeah.
I've done that. Like when we do deer meat or duck or some, even those burnt ass chicken thighs, I'll throw them in that Italian dressing and just let them hang out for a couple hours. I've left them in that overnight. I don't know if it does any better or worse.
And it might be helping to tenderize the meat in that time.
Those
But it's not
cuts are so
penetrating.
thin sliced too that it's not, there's not a whole lot of meat there to begin with.
I think that's your best cuts to marinate.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, it really is the thinner cuts. I mean, you think about it, like when you do fajita style steak or carne asada, a lot of times those are going in heavy marinades or, denser cuts of stuff like that. Some of the Japanese steak that we cook like stir fry meat and stuff, we marinate that typically, and to get the different flavors in it. And I think it works better in your favor for thin cuts or strips of meat or something like that
Yeah.
than it does trying to throw a whole steak in a marinade and thinking you're going to do something with it. Like I've seen people, they'll, cover a big filet in like Dale's or something like that. It just ends up getting salty and it doesn't get any more flavor down deep in the filet. It's so dense. Just wasting marinade, really.
Yeah.
When you could baste with it and get the same effect.
Maybe better.
Yeah.
Somebody on the community asked, should you marinate a brisket or not?
I wouldn't.
Yeah. Have you ever?
That
you can remember? You've done some
crazy. Bob used to marinate them. He'd do a 4 or 5 day marinade.
On a whole brisket?
On a whole brisket, yeah. That's how, when he first showed up with the brisket, it come in this big Tupperware tub. It had all kinds of stuff in marinade. It was floating in it.
Hey, he won.
He did. Used it as a pillow, too.
He couldn't reproduce that brisket if he wanted to.
But it was a marinade. No, I've never really marinated one. I guess we always inject them in contests, so we're putting it inside. And then if you called it a dry marinade, because we are putting our seasoning on it pretty early and letting it sit for a while too. So it's a dry marinade, and it's starting to pull out some moisture stuff from the outside and working some of that seasoning on the inside. But
so is injection just a marinade from the inside out?
Kind of. I mean, you think about it, it really is.
Yeah.
You're putting a marinade inside the meat with the needle.
And you
spreading
usually
it out,
let it hang out for
Yeah.
at least 30, 45 minutes before you start cooking it.
Usually, yeah.
You're giving it time to
So it kind
penetrate.
of is marinated from the inside with being injection.
Yeah.
That's what I would think of it as being.
I never thought about it that way. Well, Mount, that's all I have for you today.
Well,
are you ready to go shoot them fireworks?
I am. We stopped at Boomland on the way back from St. Louis and let Michael get some fireworks.
Let Michael get some fireworks. You were the one pushing the buggy with the big smile on your face.
It's like a kid in a candy store.
That one's a big one over there, Mike. Let's go look at that.
They were all big. They're like suitcases. That's all it was.
That's just little firecrackers.
They didn't have any cute little firecrackers.
No, we got some big boys. And I can't wait to blow them up. That's what I'm going to do. Probably going to cook some stuff this weekend. I ain't really made a plan.
Yeah.
I kind of need to sit down and make a plan this afternoon. Haven't been to the store, so it might be freezer cooking. Well, maybe we'll go inventory everything.
That sounds like a plan.
Cook.
Yeah, there was no butts at Walmart 2 days ago. So.
Really?
Really?
Oh, man.
Yeah, lots of ribs, no butts, though.
Hey, everybody cook ribs. Get you some butcher paper. We got it at the shop. If y'all are local and come by and get some.
We sell it.
Probably too late to, I don't know where you can find some in the Academy, maybe.
Yeah. We sell it in 6-foot sections.
Yeah, you don't have to buy the big roll if you don't want to.
Yeah.
You just want to wrap one brisket.
Zero commitment butcher paper. I like it.
Yeah.
Zero commitment. You don't need 300 yards.
Yeah.
But no, that's about it. Just everybody have a safe and happy 4th of July. Fire those grills up. It's a huge grilling holiday. So we got to see a lot of great pictures. Y'all tag us, get in that community, and share.
We got a giveaway going on.
Oh, is there? What's going on?
When will it be over?
Giveaway's over if you're listening to this right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be more coming up. So if you guys are interested, make sure you guys head on over to Facebook. And it's facebook.com/group/H2Q community and join us up. And like he's saying, post your pictures this weekend. We love seeing them and ask questions and all that good stuff.
Is the Palmer thing up and running live?
Oh, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, so we're giving away a Outlaw stick burner and a lesson from Malcom and the HowToBBQRight crew on how to cook on this very nice
But you got to come get it.
$5,000 cooker.
It's more than that, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
So we're giving that away. If you're interested, go to howtobbqright.com/Palmer, PALMER.
And we appreciate everybody supporting the Palmer. Spaced out there. I was thinking about, are we doing this at the Smokehouse? I thought it'd be really cool if people got to come and learn to cook on the pit at the Smokehouse.
I really think we're going to start doing more hospitality
at the Smokehouse.
Entertaining at the Smokehouse.
I like it.
It's pretty cool
gonna be fun.
setup down there.
So y'all go to the Palmer home and check out. And if you'd like to donate to get in are they giving it away to whoever raises the most?
Yes.
The way that thing works is you can make a one-time donation, or you can set up and make like
become a fundraiser.
Become a fundraiser yourself, and then get other people to donate for your cause for it. And I guess whoever does the most is going to get the pit. So
yeah, and we're giving a second place and third place prizes away.
Yeah, there's going to be other stuff too, but that's just the grand prize.
That's the grand prize. Yeah. If you'd like to connect with Malcolm, it's HowToBBQRight on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and of course YouTube. If you'd like to connect with me, it's Miss Southern Shell on Instagram.
All right. Well, y'all have a happy 4th of July. Tyler, we're gone.